Victoria Simmons with the Georgia Post Review. This is Christy Watkins, a member of my staff, and we have as our guest today Brent Lowe, School Superintendent of Crawford County. We're going to discuss the upcoming E-Fleiss, which is on the May 22nd ballot this time. Brent, tell us all about the E-Fleiss.
Well, just kind of give you some history. We started having meetings. When I say we, I mean me and the board. Started having some meetings late October, early November about some needs for our system. One of the main needs for our system is a new gymnasium. We're playing in a 1950s model gymnasium that is really, and I'm talking about my high school basketball team, that it's so tight and it's a great atmosphere to play games, but you've got people coming out of the stands onto the floor, and it's just a safety concern. And truth be known, we've got a pretty good basketball program, and the history of basketball here is pretty stellar. So we want our kids to have the opportunity to have a good place to play and somewhere they can be proud to play. The other need was to add some classrooms to the elementary school. We had talked about 6, and adding 6 classrooms to the elementary school would allow us to house our pre-K and kindergarten under the elementary school roof and kind of get them out of the Eagle's Nest, which the Eagle's Nest has served its purpose, but it is kind of in the basement of an old building. Kind of a dreary start for our students when they come to Crawford County. I tell you all that to say that plan has kind of changed. In investigating it, we actually are eligible in Crawford County for low wealth project specific funding from the state. What that means in essence is that if we will dedicate, if the citizens of Crawford County will vote in one splash and dedicate that splash to a new building, the state will match the funds and actually go above a matching funds to get us to where we can afford a new facility. We get that designation because we're in the bottom 25% of income, of sales tax revenue. Because our splash brings in so little, we get this perk from the state. Well, they'll only do it for new construction, or it's easier to get for new construction, and the new construction is based on a instructional needs. Well, when we started looking to get the most bang for the buck and to still move our pre-K and kindergarten out of the Eagle's Nest, we looked at doing a 6-12 building instead of just a 9-12 high school. We're going to do a 6-12 middle school high school combo. With this 6-12 middle school high school combo, there will be a new gymnasium. We will then move our upper elementary, which is grades 3 through 5, we'll house them at what is currently the middle school. And then we'll have pre-K to 2, which is currently our elementary school. We feel that way we have met the needs of all of the kids, pre-K to 12. We provided them a new gymnasium, high school gymnasium, because that's part of the new building. And we've done it all for really about the same price, because the first project, which was the 6 classrooms and the new gymnasium, the cost estimate was about $9.4 million. And when we start doing the cost estimate for the new building, and a few modifications for moving kids from here, from each building, like water fountains need to be lowered and things like that, it's going to be about $9.7 million. So for about $300,000, we'll be able to get a new high school and meet all the new middle high, and meet all the needs of our students. Now, the part that is really good is the state's going to make up the difference of that building, which is going to be about $23 million. So for a cost to the county of Crawford for about anywhere from 9.7 to 10 million, we're going to get 23 from the state, and that's almost a sweetheart of a deal we can't miss, because we're going to spend that. We got to spend the money anyway. the high school is a 74 model, 74, 75 model, and it is, we did a lot of renovation to it last year, because if not, or 2 years ago, my first year here, if we hadn't have done those renovations, we probably wouldn't be having school in there now. I mean, it was a situation where we had to replace some plumbing, do some heating and air, and then do some lighting. So, you know, the building's not real secure over there at the high school. It's got a lot of exterior doors. During the time period that high school was built, the big fear was fire. How can we get kids out of the building? Now, as we know of recent events, that one of the biggest fears now is keeping people out. So the new building that will be built will be a modern, safe, and secure facility that will be easy to keep the people out without making it look like a prison. You know, that's the biggest, one of our biggest issues is how do you keep something secure without running the razor wire and making it look like a prison. But and in this SPLOSH plan, there was one more thing that I'd like to talk about, and that is, as we're able to move these students around and build this new facility, house our upper elementary at the middle school, house our lower elementary at the elementary school, some of the names will change. The existing elementary will be called the Crawford County Primary School, and then the middle school will be called the Crawford County Elementary. And then in this planning, we're kind of wanting to have us an alternative school, which right now we have alternative setting, but I don't know that we're getting the bang for our buck there. And so what we'd want to do is in the area that's now considered the pre-K wing, which is probably the most up-to-date of the Eagle's Nest, with bathrooms and a lot of the facilities in that wing, that corridor are at least up to date. Still kind of tight and dark, but up to date. We're going to have the Crawford County Success Academy, which will be a middle and high alternate education facility, but it'll also give us, if we have a student, and really thinking junior and seniors, but there will be some incidences where maybe a kid has been retained a couple of times and needs to catch up. So it'll be a place where we can catch up students who have fallen behind, and we don't want them to lose hope. We don't want anybody to feel like that they're coming to school for no reason. So if they can't, you know, for discipline reasons, if they can't function in a normal classroom setting, they may be moved to the alternative school, or in certain circumstances, or a junior or senior who is behind, we will move them over there, and it'll be kind of a one-on-one, not a one-on-one teacher-student, but a one-on-one internet program that they'll be working at their own pace. So,
I like that name, Success.
right. Well, you don't want to carry the negative connotation of an alternative school. A lot of times people think, oh, that's the alternative school, that's for bad kids, and that's not really the goal here. The goal here is to have an academy where our students can succeed, no matter what situation they're in. If it's because of discipline reasons at the regular school, it will get them a kind of a second chance. If it's because, you know, I hate to say this, but a lot of times when kids get into ninth grade, they lose their mind a little bit, and in that they may not have maintained the path that they needed to maintain in their early grades of high school, and then sometimes when they're juniors it hits them, hey, I want to graduate, or I want to be successful. It takes them those couple of years, and they grow up a lot, and we don't want them to feel like, well, there's no sense in me coming to school, I'm not going to make it. We'll have a place for them to have success as well.
Well, that's exciting. How much is the East Bluff supposed to raise?
Well, if we voted in, we get about anywhere between 42 and 48,000 a month. But so over the 5 years, we're hoping about 2.5 million, and that lets you know. I just talked about a program that's going to be between 9.7 and 10 million. So this will be we're voting in one 5-year East Splash. However, we're also going to tie bonds to this. So if we vote bonds in, it's going to take a few to pay it off. And so this is not just a 5-year commitment. Now, this vote is for 5 years,
Right.
but it will be revoted every 5 years. So there will be some following splice that have to be voted in to maintain, to pay off these bonds.
Right.
But, I mean, it's a $2.5 million over 5 years.
And you can't make a better investment than in our education system.
Well, I agree completely.
This is not a continuation for Crawford County, right? This is a new East Bluff.
No, this is a continuation.
It is a continuation.
It is a continuation, and it is in the past, some things that we've done with this East Bluff in the past. I know the football stadium had to be redone. There was some safety issues with the stands, and so those were done. We bought some buses. The middle school was actually, the local portion of the middle school was funded through SPLOST, and the first SPLOST that was passed here actually paid off general obligation bonds from the elementary school. So for a school system that gets such a small SPLOST, and we do, and you look at our surrounding counties, and I mean, what we get in 5 years, some of them are getting in 6-7 months. I mean, we just we don't have the industry here, but I feel like as long before I got here, and the county's been very frugal with their SPLOST. They've used it for technology, buses, the schools that we have, facilities. For a small school system in a small rural county, to be honest with you, the East SPLOST is such a vital part. And so it is a continuation. It will not even start collecting. We'll vote it in. Hopefully the community votes it in on May 22nd, but the proceeds won't start coming in until January this next year, 2019.
So when do you think that the construction would start?
If everything falls into place the way I would like for it to, because we do have tomorrow is our board meeting, and it will be an architect's going to be brought before the board. We've already chosen an architect. We've got to do some surveys on the land and all that, but if everything falls into place, and if the citizens of Roberta Crawford vote in the SPLOST on May 22nd, we're going to apply for the funds in July. Now, that application that's made that July, we won't get the first dollar from the state until the following July. So I'm hoping if we can apply this July, that we'll actually start some demo and some groundbreaking in April of 2019. If we can break ground April 2019, construction should be finished in April of 2021. It's going to be about a 2-year process, because it is a unique facility, and right now the plan is to build this middle high school on the campus of the current high school. That's the plan right now, unless something happens and we see that that's not the best option. But as of right now, the architect's done similar work up in North Georgia around Calhoun City, some very similar type construction. But the plan is to build it kind of in front of, and if you're standing on the road, down the left side of the current high school. After we get it completed, after that building is completed, come in over that summer, the 2019 summer, not 2019, the 2021 summer, move the classrooms into the new building, and then tear down the old high school, and the parking lot will be there. So that means the parking lot for our athletic events, you no longer have to park in front of the school and walk around. It'll all be behind the school. The parking will be right there at our athletic sites, and student parking will be behind the school. That'll allow us to police who comes in and out a whole lot better. Now, a lot of those details will have to be worked out with the architect, but that's the general plan right now. And you know, you never know when you start doing surveys what they're going to find under the ground. We hope there's nothing. We think we know where almost everything is on that tract of land because of the additions and since we built it in '74. But if you know, you never know. So once we find out something there, we may adjust our timeline. But that's our plan right now.
Yeah, that's exciting.
But you were actually, we had discussed it before, but the high school portion will actually be like two-story. You'll walk in on the second story.
Right. That's the plan. The whole high school wing and I hope the gymnasium will be a two-story building, and that way you don't have to heat and cool the exterior walls, which is where a lot of your energy costs. You know, those finger designs that of the late '70s and '80s were pretty buildings, but a lot of heating and cooling. This will be we're hoping for a two-story design on the high school. We hope that you enter the gymnasium at the top and that you walk down to get into your seats, never allowing you onto the floor. The dressing rooms and all will be on the floor in the coaches' offices, but the fans will not be on the floor. Like I said, that's one of my big safety concerns of our gym now. I know it's got a lot of nostalgia and a lot of people play in that gymnasium, but there have been a lot of kids walking across that floor during the middle of the game, and that scares me. I sure would hate to see a child get hurt out there. But yeah, we are looking at a two-story high school wing, and then the middle school wing probably would stay at ground level. And that allows us to use the contour of the land. To be honest with you, the far left-hand side of the building, even the two-story building, the ground floor, you'll open on the ground. So because of the elevation and the slope of the land, looking at it from the front, it'll only look like a one-story building. But as soon as you get around on the left side, it'll have a two-story look, and it'll be pretty neat. And like I said, it's a new design, so it's going to have the safety and secure feel of letting people in and out. We also want to find a way to make the other schools add a little bit of some secure vestibules in the other schools where people have to buzz in, and all that'll be part of the grand plan here. But we're able to build a new school with all the safety perks in place, and you don't have to go back and retrofit.
Wow, that's great. Sounds exciting too, like that'd be exciting time, something that Crawford County definitely needs. Let me ask you, while we got you here, about the recent events with the people calling in about school shootings and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Just tell us what your thoughts are and what the system's doing to.
Well, the good thing is, if we can find a silver lining out of all this, the legitimate threats that we've had, I feel as though we've handled them almost textbook. And I actually told, I've got some friends all over the state that I've talked to. You know, you need a network, and so I've called other superintendents. How would you have done it? What would you have done? If you look at the first incident we had, when it was brought to our attention, we investigated it as a school first, and actually investigated it one day and didn't find anything. And then as we dug deeper and dug deeper, that got us to the actual incident where we did arrest a student. We found out he admitted to making the threat and turned it over. At that point, it was a school investigation. At that point, when we did ours, we then turned it over to the police. And by lunch that day, we had it. I mean, it was really taken care of. Now, the aftermath of that was when people got on social media and went home and started talking to the parents, and anything that we investigated from that point on was just false. I mean, there was nothing to substantiate anything. And then this last event we had was actually an event for the sheriff's department. Some students, we found out students called the sheriff's department, called 911. or just the sheriff's department number, I'm not sure, but 911 is who answered the call. And they said that they were going to shoot school up in the buses, and we investigated that afternoon. We didn't see any reason for concern, to be honest with you. We saw nothing to substantiate it. We did ask our bus drivers just to kind of be on a heightened sense of awareness. If something looked out of place, let us know immediately. Nothing did. If I'm not mistaken, by 9 the next morning, the sheriff's department came in and used us to help them with their investigation. In other words, that investigation didn't start with the school.
Right.
It started with the sheriff's department. There's two different protocols there, and the reason I say that is because we have things that we have to do and are allowed to do. They have things that they have to do and are allowed to do, and they can't intermingle. So the situation that we handled first, I felt like went completely flawless. I see nothing wrong with what happened with the sheriff's department in the actual investigation, because I'm not privy to any of that. I don't know what all went on, but I mean, both times, the true incidences, we never even had to go on lockdown. We had the situations handled. We did work under a code yellow lockdown. All that means is just we teach behind locked doors. We keep all the exterior doors locked. And there's only one way in and one way out. And you think, well, that should be how it is always. Well, the fact of the matter is, at our elementary school campus and our high school campus, there are times when students have to leave the building to go to a gymnasium, a weight room, or an exterior building, or recess. I mean, there's a law out there right now getting passed this year that says we can't take recess away. Well, your kids are going to be outside of recess. So, anyway, there are times when kids have to come and go from the building. Well, during Code Yellow, we cease all that, and in both of those incidences that were the actual instances, we never even had to go on lockdown because we had it taken care of so quickly. As far as all the other threats, we went lockdown so we would keep the traffic minimal and we could have time to do some investigating on all these other threats, which, like I said before, were not, in no way did we find anything that substantiated any of this. Now, Friday there was a bit of confusion because we did schedule with the city of Roberta to bring in the drug dogs to search our parking lot. That was already in place before the day before, so we didn't want to cancel it because we had actually canceled it the week before because the dogs were needed somewhere else. So that added a little bit of confusion. So we did go into Code Yellow, but it was after the suspect had already been taken out of the school, and that was just to keep the kids from running to the car while we were searching them. And that's that's going to be standard operating procedure for us as long as I'm here. If we start hearing threats that there's an issue of any kind of safety, or if we're having to do any kind of a dog search, we're going to go into Code Yellow, and it's just to minimize the traffic. The parents, there's a concern right there now because of what the incident in Florida took kind of has shown a light onto it. But schools are a safe place, and we follow procedures. We are going to try to have a few more of the lockdown drills just to make sure everybody's familiar with our processes. We're going to, like I said, as we're doing the new construction, we're going to start looking at those secured, I can't say it, I always say vestibules.
We all have one of those words.
Right. Where people have to be buzzed in and out. But I do want to commend the sheriff's department, police department, and the school. I feel like that we've done a pretty good job following our protocol, following our processes. We have had to investigate a lot that really has proven to be not true, but we're going to continue to do that. I mean, when something, and the bad thing is right now, if somebody can write something on the wall in the bathroom, we've got to take it as a true threat. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. And what I don't want to happen, I mean, as we were growing up, there was two stories that comes to mind. One was the little, the Chicken Little. The sky was falling. When the acorn hit the chicken on the head, the sky was falling. I don't want us to get into that kind of a panic mode. And also the little boy who cried wolf, where, you know, he cried wolf 2 or 3 times until when he really needed somebody, they couldn't get there. And so I have a blog that's on my website, on the school website. It's under Superintendent Blog tab. I actually have a blog out right now that just asks, if you are a caregiver of a kid, please have a conversation with them. Don't let a comment that they make, and I don't mean to be derogatory, but a stupid comment about hurting people or blowing up schools or shooting schools, don't let a comment like that ruin their life, because a lot of times they may be made in jest, but we've got to take every one of them as serious.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we don't want our kids to grow up living in fear.
Right.
You know? That's.
And I know y'all are doing everything y'all can to make sure that the kids are safe.
Yeah.
And I know ever since you've been here, you've been on top of everything, making sure that things are done. So I just want to appreciate.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I want to
do.
thank you for that, because I mean I've seen the change since you've been here.
Well, and one thing that does get to be a touchy situation is how quick to get information out. And I'm not going to get any information out until I know it's factual. And I know that some parents get upset about that, but I don't want to cause paranoia with a bunch of false information. So sometimes when y'all think I'm dragging, I'm not. I'm just making sure it's fact. But.
I don't have a problem with that. And we know where your heart is, because we've seen you, and we know that you care about our students. So, well, we thank you for being here today. We've had Brent Lowe, Superintendent of Schools, here, and he's enlightened us about East Fleiss and safety at the schools, and we just appreciate you being here. We appreciate the job that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
And we're proud of our school system.
Well,
I see it going forward.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's all we can ask for.
Thanks for being here today,
Yes.
Brent.
All right, thank you.
All right.